My name is Linda, and my mother is developmentally delayed, and she was married 6 times. The first time that she was married to my dad, and that marriage lasted about 2 years. It resulted in me and my sister Donna. My mother reports that my father was physically abusive and she was a victim of domestic violence. I know when I met him later in my life that he was an alcoholic. Later on, he recovered from alcoholism and he stopped drinking, but he became more of a dry drunk. So he had a lot of the behaviors that he had when he was drinking, but he just wasn't drinking anymore. So the second marriage my mother had was to my stepfather, Sam. She was married to him for 15 years and she divorced him or left him. I'm not sure who divorced who when I was a teenager. He was the most prominent piece in my life I remember growing up. He had an addiction problem, an alcohol problem. He had a lot of mood swings, but I also remember things like I remember him brushing my hair, I remember him taking me to school, and I don't remember my mother doing that. I even remember him cleaning the house. After she left him, she was married to somebody named Don again. This guy was very juvenile. He acted like a young boy. He giggled and they giggled together, and it was just a really kind of creepy thing they had between the two of them. She was with him for a couple years, and for a couple years of my life, even though he was a pedophile, if I wanted to see my mother, I had to kind of play nice, grin and bear it, and pretend like everything was okay, and it wasn't. After him, she met this man named Robert. Robert was an alcoholic. I knew very little about him. My brother claims that he was also a pedophile and he touched my brother. Then she married Dutch. Dutch was by far the very best thing that ever happened to her and our family. He was kind, he was loving, he had no ill intentions, no creepy kind of intentions, and never tried anything creepy with anybody. And when Dutch died, my mother walked away from everything, the house, the life they had, and everything like nothing ever happened. And before he was even buried, my mother married somebody on an Indian reservation named Frank. She was with him for a couple years and he also passed away. And when he passed away, the Indian reservation stepped in and made sure that my mother left promptly and she got nothing. Now, the guy on the Indian reservation, he wasn't a legit marriage. He wasn't anything legal binding. And I guess it was just like an Indian ceremony. But the longest marriage my mother had was when she was with Sam, and that was for 15 years. But throughout my life, my mother went from almost one addict pedophile right into another, over and over again. And Dutch was the exception of the rule. He didn't meet any of that criteria. She was married to him for maybe 10 years, and he really was. He was a great, great guy. And I do not know how my mother married, divorced. I don't know any of that. My best speculation is that my aunt helped her, or the men she was with filed the divorce. But with Sam, I'm sure my aunt helped her. My aunt would have had the intelligence, the money, and she would have been absolutely willing to file divorce for my mother with a lot of those bad marriages. But the men my mother was with, they would have been willing to go through the whole marriage process. So I think the men got her married, and I think my aunt got her divorced. My name is Linda. My mother is developmentally delayed, and she was married 6 times. Here's what her marriages look like. So in her first marriage with Sam, there was relations, if you understand what I mean clearly, because she had 4 more kids with him. But the majority of the relationship that my mom had with the men was not of equal nature. Like when Sam would work or when Sam wasn't there, my mother didn't get up and clean the house. My mother didn't really get up and cook. It was like she would get this, I don't know, this second wind every now and again, and you would see her cooking or cleaning, but it was a rare occasion. And it would be so rare that I can almost remember the times when she did do it. She didn't wake up in the morning with us kids. She didn't wash our laundry. She didn't make sure that we were clean, our hair was brushed for school. She didn't do any of that. Now, when Sam was home, I remember him cleaning the house. I remember him brushing my hair. I remember him helping us pick clothes to wear to go to school. And I remember him doing a lot of the cooking. And when she married all the other men, it kind of was the same way. Dutch was a little bit of the exception. Dutch's parts didn't function anymore, and my mom was quite pleased about that. She told me that they don't have that kind of relationship. Now, with Donnie, when she was with him, he was creepy. He was a pedophile. There was a lot of lustful language between the two of them, for lack of a better word. Now, when she got with the guy Frank, that was all the way in Washington, and I lived all the way in another state, so I don't even know, never even met the man. But when she was with Robert, I met him like once. He lived in the same trailer park as her, and my mother more predominantly leaned toward, she preferred living in a camp trailer. Not a fifth wheel, but a little camp trailer. And that's where she lived a lot of her times. After she divorced Sam, before she met Robert, she lived in a little camp trailer. And she still had 4 of the kids living with her. I don't know where they all slept. But overall, most of the men in her life, with the exception of Donnie, most of the men in her life took care of her. They washed her clothes, they cooked her meals, they cleaned the house for her, they drove her everywhere. And if there was any kids in the house, they're the ones that usually took care of the kids. So you might be able to imagine some of my confusion with Sam. And long after my mom and him divorced, I continued to be in contact with him because growing up, that was almost my only caretaker. I remember one point when I was a little girl that I was getting ready for school, and I remember that he was brushing my hair and he was pushing the brush down too hard on my head. It wasn't anything he was doing on purpose. And I remember that he took those little plastic barrettes that you have, and I remember he snapped it in my hair, and instead of snapping it with his fingers, he pushed it down on my head. And I remember that it hurt. But overall, my mother's marriages and the way she was in the marriage, the way the marriage functioned, kind of paints a much bigger overall picture of my mother's difficulty of taking care of herself and taking care of other people. So I want to take a minute and reply to this question. When my mom divorced Sam, she was with Sam for 15 years. She had 3 kids with Sam, and she had me and my sister with my dad. When she divorced him, my aunt stepped in, and my aunt probably paid for the divorce and did everything because my aunt had an apartment for her. She had a station wagon for her. The apartment was fully furnished, and my mom ended up moving from one town all the way to Vallejo, California. My daughter Kayleen was born at the time, and I was already married, and me and my husband went up there quite a few times to see my mom. And for a little while, maybe 6 months or a year, it was just her and her kids. I think my aunt's church came in and they helped her do things like clean and grocery shop and do all that other kind of stuff. But it wasn't too long after she moved there that Donnie moved in. And Donnie was the pedophile. And he did what pedophiles do and had his field day with 4 other children, if you understand. And I don't remember how her and Donnie broke up. I almost want to say that there was a CPS case and Donnie was forced to leave. And so Donnie left and she moved out of the apartment my aunt got her. It was kind of a duplex, and it was downstairs. It was the basement. And she moved into a little camp trailer with the other 4 kids. And the camp trailer was probably no longer than 10 feet long. It was like one of those real little ones, like the size of a truck. But she lived in that camp trailer with all 4 of the kids. And she was there for a little while until she started dating that guy, Robert. And I think when she started dating him, that's when she moved in with him. And he lived in a bigger trailer. He was also a pedophile. And me and my husband went over to see her when she was living in that little trailer, and she was absolutely thrilled. To her, I think it felt like she was playing house when she was in one of those little trailers. I don't know, maybe it made her feel safe. She almost always had a dog or two with her almost everywhere she went. And most of her dogs, she held them all the time. She made sure they were fed, sometimes off of her plate. She slept with them, she protected them. And some of them were vicious little beasts. They would bite you. And my mom always pretty much told us that those were her babies. So the time that she lived in Vallejo, I know that my aunt took care of her, came over there a lot, helped her with a lot of stuff. And it was somewhere after she broke up with Robert, or she wasn't with Robert anymore, that, and Robert was an alcoholic, that she ended up with Dutch. And Dutch owned a house on a little piece of property, like an acre, and it was also in Vallejo. And my mom moved into that house with him. And by the time that she met Dutch, the kids had already gone away and moved out. When she divorced Sam, my sister Donna was already at the high school age. Sandy was probably early high school. Tiffany was junior high, and my brother was probably junior high as well, if not early high school, because all the kids were very close together in age. And it was after she divorced Sam, too, that some of the kids were back and forth. So she didn't have them in that trailer the entire time. She did have them in Vallejo with her the entire time. And I honestly don't believe that if my mother was a single mother, that she could handle taking care of all the kids and all the duties that had to go with taking care of kids. Because for the most part, people took care of her. My name is Linda, and I am the daughter of a mother who is developmentally delayed. My mother has the appearance of an adult woman, and sometimes if you get around her, you think she has some of the mannerisms of an adult woman, but it doesn't take too long when you talk to her that you figure out that something isn't right. My mother's got the equivalent in some areas of her life of a 12-year-old, and in other areas of her life, she's much younger. She doesn't process things like most people do, and she doesn't comprehend things like most people do. You can give her information, but she just can't seem to put the pieces together of life. So my mom has never been able to do things like hold down a job, maintain a schedule, maintain a household, do anything that has any kind of repetitive pattern to it. My mom is impulsive. She runs a lot on her emotions, and she does things from an emotional standpoint, like a survival standpoint. My mother had 5 children, and I was the oldest of 5 children. Now, back in those days, because I was born in 1968, back in those days, they didn't have a lot of CPS and the stuff they got today, so you didn't have the ability to just go in and take a child away from somebody like they do today. So my aunt had this bargaining that she did with my mom and my stepfather because they always needed money. My aunt always offered money to let me come stay with her. And I spent a good chunk of my life going back and forth between my aunt and my mom. And my aunt tells me things today like, when I was wearing a diaper, I was changing my sister's diaper. When I would have a plate of food, I would give it to the other children. That I was the one that got up in the morning, got everybody on the bus. I was the one that tried to keep the house up. I was the one that tried to take care of everything, including my mom. And I remember protecting my mother when people teased her. I remember protecting my mother from my stepfather when he got upset. And I remember little things that are kind of peculiar about her growing up. Like I remember we went to somebody's house, and sounds like a funny story, but it's really not. It's more about her perception. But a dog went over to her leg and lifted its leg and peed on her. And I remember she looked down and she just kept going like nothing had happened. It wasn't that she was trying to be polite or considerate of other people's feelings. It's like she just didn't have any kind of concrete awareness of what happened. Now, growing up with her, I had this awareness that my mom couldn't put the pieces together, and I had this ability to manipulate her if I wanted to. For the most part, I didn't. But I also remember that when I was really little, that I had so much anger at her. My mom had red hair, and I remember that it was super long, like maybe down to her knees. And when we would get in the car, that her hair would dangle down over the back of the seat. And I had my brother sitting next to me, whom I really didn't like. And I would pull her hair with the notion that she would turn around and see him and blame him. And she did. And later, as I got older, I didn't have as much anger at her. I had more sympathy and pity for her than I did anything else. When I became an adult, I was the one that had the comprehension problem because I wanted my mother somehow to make an amends to me for everything that was done and not done. And it took me a great part of my early childhood, or early adulthood, to recognize that my mom couldn't. And as I had my own children, I got to a place of acceptance, forgiveness, and was able just to kind of accept my mother as she was and move forward in life. And I got to this idea in my head that because I have loyalty to my mother, that I call my mother and there's no strings attached. I call her not as her daughter, but I call her more as a case manager. How are you doing? Are you eating? Etc. And I've kind of learned to push out the idea that your mom might be giving you this problem and that problem, but your mom can recover, my mom can't. And I believe that's why it shaped me so much with my own children to really be present in their life, is because I didn't have anybody present in mine. My name is Linda, and I was raised by a mother who was developmentally delayed. So in the previous video that I posted, there was a lot of questions about the father, my father, the stepfather, and my grandmother, and other members of the family that recognized that my mother didn't function as a full-grown adult and did nothing. Those very questions came to my mind when I became an adult, and I had to kind of process everything that happened. I began to ask those questions. Where was my grandmother? And why were these men attracted to my mother? I mean, for one, they could control her. They wanted the power and control. But the kind of men that are attracted to somebody that is emotionally and mentally young, they have a word for that. Well, with my stepfather, I can confirm that that's a fact. Because when I was old enough, I became one of his targets, for lack of a better word. And I have a half sister that states that my real father also fell into that category. But what's more interesting about both of those men is that they knew each other for most of their life. I discovered this later on. And my father was married to my mother for about 2 years. Now, my mother sometimes gets her facts a little twisted up, so I don't really take homage in everything that she does. My phone has notifications on it, sorry. But my mother claims that she was dating him, and she says they went to the drive-in movies together, and he had his way with her in the parking lot or the drive-in movie ground. She talks about the gravel going into her back as it happened, and then becoming pregnant with me. And that even goes a step further, because allegedly my name, he named me, but my name was a girlfriend of his. Now, I don't know if all of that's true or not. That's what my mom tells me. And my mom also goes on to tell me that the 2 years that he was married to her, I was born first, and my sister Donna was born about 1.5 years after I was, or 2 years after I was. My sister Donna is also delayed and has some comprehension issues. But after my sister Donna was born, My mom said after a very turbulent relationship, she says he used to hit her. He drank a lot and he hit her for not having things done and not being able to keep up with us and take care of us. I have uncles on my father's side of the family that say that they used to come over and take care of me and my sister for my mother. And my grandmother says that she also took care of me and my sister. But right around the time that my sister was born, allegedly, don't know, my mom says that he took her to his friend and handed her off. And that was my stepfather, like she was a piece of property. She married him and she had two girls and one boy with him. Her youngest daughter didn't appear to have anything wrong with her except for trauma and PTSD that she didn't overcome. And she just died this month. And the other two, they appeared to have a lot of the same challenges that my mom did. So growing up in the house, there were five of us, including me. And I only had the littlest or the youngest one that didn't have anything wrong with her. And the other ones all had something wrong with them. My sister Donna was born and she had to have one of those little typing machines because she couldn't hear well enough. She had to have braces on her legs because her legs were, that I believe is called out-toeing. Her feet weren't pointed directly in front of her. Her feet were pointed sideways. I can't even turn my feet like that. She also was born with a cleft palate. That's Kirsten behind me. Right up there, she had a hole in the roof of her mouth that when she drank milk, it came back out of her nose. So for a while, she had a hard time getting nutrients in her body because everything came out her nose. So I remember when she was an infant, she had to have several different surgeries growing up. And there's my notifications. And she got teased a lot. She had the very thick Coke bottle glasses on because she was almost blind, and she had the hearing aids on, and she had the leg braces. She also talked funny. So she got teased a lot growing up. She went on the short bus, and the short bus pulled up at our house wherever we were and picked my sister up and took her to school. And my brother, he was born, he would bang his head, he rocked, he had a lot more like autism symptoms when he was little. And then I had another sister that had a lot of the same problems that my sister Donna did. Now, for a long time, my dad's family, when my dad showed back up, because most of the time that I was growing up, he was a very severe alcoholic and he wasn't around. We didn't even know. When he showed up at 15, I didn't even recognize him or know that he was my father. That's how infrequently I seen him. But when I had my own kids and became an adult and got around his family, they all had a lot of guilt. I'd have my uncles calling me in the middle of the night, apologizing to me, saying, we know we should have took you from her, and just stories like that. And I think that this video is going to make a lot more questions. So I'm probably going to have to post another video because TikTok has a very short time attention span, and this has been going on for 6 minutes. So I'm going to go on to another video.
Alright, so per my last video about how I went to school with literally a murderer, I did. I used to be friends with her for, I don't know, I think it was my junior or senior year. We met through a mutual friend. You can find her story literally anywhere on Google. Just type in Hannah Stone. We went to a high school. Middlebury, Indiana is where it all happened. We went to, holy crap, hold on, I don't know what's going on with my hair. We went to Northridge High School. So this happened in like 2005. I think I graduated in 2006, so we were probably seniors in high school. I'm probably not going to get all the story directly, like, straight, so if you want, because this is like 21 years ago, so if you want like all the actual details, just Google it, because I don't know if I remember like every single detail. But me and Hannah met, like I said, through a mutual friend. We weren't like super, super close, but I did stay the night a couple of nights at her house. I had met her mom, Barb. She was super, super sweet, sweetest lady ever. I had met Hannah's little brother. He was like 2 at the time, but he wasn't home that the night this happened, I read. I went with her to Cedar Point once. That was super fun. Again, before this all happened, obviously. And then I think I heard about it on the news because, like, we kind of stopped hanging out for a while because, to get into detail, she met her boyfriend at the time, and that's where things went downhill. But it was her boyfriend, and her friend that was involved. I didn't know her boyfriend, but I did know the other person that was involved. His name was Aaron. He, kind of a weird kid in school. He went to school with us too. Her boyfriend Spencer did not. But so that's like kind of like basically how we met. I mean, school. We hung out. But yeah. So this happened some night in August 2005. I don't remember the exact date. Basically, Hannah started dating Spencer, her boyfriend, and Barb, Hannah's mom, didn't approve because he was just literally an all-around bad influence, like all around. He did drugs, etc. Like, like the type of person that, like, you obviously don't want your kid around because you know it's going to end up bad. So Barb didn't want them together, like, at all. She tried everything she possibly could to break them up. But, Hannah being like a 17-year-old, like, she's young, dumb, and in love. Like, she's not going to leave somebody she's in love with. So the night that it happened, I guess I read online that I think there's a Snapped episode about this, I want to say. But like I said, if I get any part of the story wrong, because this was like over 20 years ago, just find all the details online. But they planned it out to off Barb because she wouldn't let Spencer and Hannah be together. And I think from what I can remember is Barb kicked Hannah and Spencer and Aaron out of the house because they were staying there at the time. I think so. And then Hannah pretended to come back one night and knock on the door and come get her stuff. But then Spencer and Aaron snuck around and broke in the house, and they tied Barb up, like hog-tied her up, I guess, and duct taped her mouth and threw her in a van. They stole her. Hannah stayed home. Luckily, her little brother was with her dad, and he was only like 2 at the time, so thank God he wasn't freaking home. He was either 2 or 5, something like that. But Aaron and Spencer threw Barb in the car and took her ATM card. And they went to the ATM and took out money. And then they drove her to a cornfield in like the middle of nowhere. If you're from Middlebury, that's literally all there is here is cornfields. They're everywhere. I don't know where this one was at, but they drove her to a cornfield, and Spencer made her say some kind of prayer or something, I think, and made her say amen, and then he shot her in the back of the head, and they left. And they left Barb there in the cornfield. And then they, I believe, went back to the house to get Hannah. And then they went and got some money for drugs and food and everything. And then Hannah and Spencer and Aaron went back to their mom's house, and Hannah and Spencer made love in their mom's bed. And Hannah said that she's so happy her mom's dead. And yeah, you can read more online about everything, but I mean, obviously I'm missing some pieces, but to sum it up, that's what happened. It was back in 2005. Like I said, I went to see her once before she got sent to jail or prison. I went to see her at the county jail, and never again. I have not seen her or spoke to her since 2005. Spencer killed himself in jail or prison, and so did Aaron. So Hannah's the last one standing. She's serving a 100-year prison sentence. So my guess is she's locked up in there for life. And it's really sad because, like I said, she had a little brother who now will grow up without his mom. And her brother, like I said, was literally somewhere between 2 and 5. I can't remember his exact age, but it's actually crazy. Like, something for that to happen in such a small town to such a kind lady just because she was looking out for the safety of her own child. She had to have her life taken. It's absolutely crazy. But if anyone wants the full story, because I can't remember every single little detail, just look up Hannah Stone on Google. You'll find literally everything. Everything. It's literally tragic. And I don't know if I have any pictures of us together in high school, but I can try to dig some up and show y'all, but I don't know if I have any. I'll try to look though. But yep, that's it.
So here go another one of them why you don't talk to your mom stories. When I was 17, I'm the oldest of 7. So when I was 17, I got pregnant in high school. It was my second semester. I got accepted to all of these scholarships, all these colleges. I had scholarships, the whole nine. High school. I found out on a Friday. My ass was trying to have an abortion Saturday, but I didn't know, what I was doing or whatever. I didn't tell my mom, but my mom called me to her job on Sunday and talking about she had a dream and she made me take a piss test in front of her. So that's how she found out I was pregnant. I didn't tell her that I already knew I was pregnant. But when we talked about it, I told her I was thinking about, having an abortion. I just didn't know how to go about it. And of course, it was something scary. Like, who wants to say that they want to have an abortion? So my mom, when she found out, she was all happy and shit. And I'm just confused. Like, of course, I'm vulnerable, looking for support, trying to figure out if it's good, if it's bad. Like, just trying to navigate the whole situation. So I'm relying on my mom at this point, like, low-key, like, how to feel for real. So mind you, she had me at 19. She had already graduated though. The next couple of days, we was talking about what I was gonna do, whatever. So I don't remember what day it was, but a day or two after or whatever, she was all excited, like, oh, I'm gonna have a grandbaby, this and this. Like, she telling people that she's gonna be a grandma, and I'm overhearing this shit. So it's like, you're forming this attachment, whatever. So I'm starting to feel guilty about the whole abortion thing. So she came up with this plan, like, well, since you already got accepted at Fayetteville State, you could just go to Fayetteville State, and you got your scholarship, and I'm gonna make sure you graduate, because I didn't graduate college. And like, the whole crying, praying, the whole thing, like, I promise I'm gonna be there to support you, I'm gonna make sure that you graduate from college, and blah 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 blah. So of course, like I said, I'm looking up to my mom for support. Like, can I do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody really wants to have an abortion. But so at this point, I'm like relieved that I don't have to go through with the abortion, and also relieved that there's a plan, I'm going to be okay, and then starting to accept this, you know, pregnancy or whatever. So the day I graduated, June 6th, we got evicted that day. That same day I graduated high school. I was 6 months pregnant. She didn't have nowhere to stay that whole summer. She quit her job during the summer that we was homeless. I'm doing all type of shit, running around, staying with this person, that person, cool. I go to Fayetteville State, use my refund check to get an apartment. Get an apartment, had her and my sisters move in with me. Cool. I had a boyfriend, wasn't my baby daddy, but had a boyfriend. Like, telling my boyfriend it was her house, her name was not on the lease. Like, she was paying her agreement was to pay the rent and let me go to school. Well, he was staying there too. So she was like, yeah, I'm going to pay the rent. The rent was only $400. So I get a car. She co-signed. She definitely used the car to try to control me or whatever. She got a night job, so I could go to school during the day. So it worked for a while, but it was always one of them things like, you never know what's going to happen. So first semester got through. Second semester, I had to drop out. And I remember that day, I got up, got dressed, had my homegirl about to pick me up from school, because our routine was, we'll get a baby situated and give it to her, get a baby to her, and I would go to school. One day, I don't know what she was upset about. We probably got into an argument. I don't know. But I got dressed. She watched me get up and get dressed and everything, and I handed her the baby, and she was like, I'm not watching him today. I'm literally about to walk out the door and go to school. My ride is outside. Now, the new me probably would have left that baby and went to school. But the old me was like, I can't go to school. Like, you know I need to go to school. So I ended up having to drop out. She didn't pay the rent. We was about to get evicted a couple times. The whole nine. Shit falls apart at that point. Fast forward, about 3-4 years later, I find this dude. I get married. Cool. I'm on my feet. I'm fine. I'm staying in the house with him, like, doing hair. I'm doing my thing. Like, I'm on my shit. So we got into an argument about something, don't know what. This was a family argument at this point. This was a family sit down. So we sitting down talking, and it was one of them things, like I told her, we're not going to be yelling. We're not going to be doing this. We're going to have a conversation. She got all loud and hostile, and it came up. My pregnancy came up. And she literally told me, I will never forget, I didn't want you to go off to school because I knew you was going to be better than me. Who was going to take care of your sisters if you left? So you had me keep this goddamn baby that I did not want so that I could stay here. Okay. I don't know if this is ignorance or stupidity, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to say ignorant. And I'm going to put it like this. Imagine you growing up and you always feeling like you're doing the right thing that you're supposed to do. You're doing the thing out of the kindness of your heart. You're doing what feels natural to you. You see somebody hungry, you feeding them, right? And imagine every time you make a decision like that, somebody come back and tell you, oh, you're selfish as fuck. Why the fuck would you do that? Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. Why did you should have did this instead of that. That was dumb as fuck. How long do you think it's going to take you to start questioning yourself? Coming from your parents, being young, and already knowing that you don't know shit for real, and a little bit of shit you do think you know, motherfuckers will take that from you and make you feel like you crazy. So everybody was not raised that way. Everybody was not raised to make decisions for just themselves. Some people was raised to feel like that was selfish as fuck, and that's what you're not supposed to do. And sometimes it takes you trials and tribulations to go through. It takes you shit for it to happen for you to reflect and be like, I don't think that was right. First of all, let's start living in our truth about the kids that we had. Because a lot of y'all that have these kids did not want these kids. These kids wasn't made on purpose. Some of y'all had these kids to keep niggas. Some of y'all had these kids for benefits. Some of y'all had these kids because you needed the best fucking friend. It's reasons for everything. But the reason that I said what I said is because when that shit came out that lady mouth, that was my true thought at the time. Abso-fucking-lutely. Because I thought about everything that I've been through having him that could have been avoided. Things that he's been through that could have been avoided. So it was my truth at the time. And two things can be true at the same time. I did not want to have a child at 17, 18 years old. But I do not regret having him either. He know he's loved. He's always been taken care of. I ain't never been without him. He ain't never been without me. I'm gonna get off my mom a little bit and we're gonna get on my daddy. So my daddy was everything to me. Like, his birthday is the day after mine. Like, you could tell me no wrong from my daddy. He was always there. He was married. My daddy was always there. He waited till I was 16 to decide to have, I guess, like a midlife crisis or whatever. Left his wife, left his kids, and went to another bitch. He was in the military for 17 years and then decided to go to jail behind this bitch. So while he in jail, that's when I'm pregnant, whatever. He found out I had a baby. He sent his mama to me. We talked to her. He was like, oh, your daddy's coming home. Me and him talked a little bit. I was like, yes, when I come home, I'm coming to you. We're going to fix this. I don't know what you and your mama got going on, blah, blah, blah. He gets out, don't contact us, and we find out that he's back with the bitch. Everybody was done with him. My mama, my sisters, my other siblings, his ex-wife. Nobody was talking to this. I'm climbing through the storm. Fuck that. This my daddy. I got to save this motherfucker. So I found out he with the bitch. So the whole thing happened with me and my mama. Everything fell apart. That's what I was saying before. I let everything go. Left that raggedy car. Let the apartment go. I stayed with my friend for a couple days. Made a fucking GoFundMe. Talked to my daddy. He was like, pack your shit and come. Pack your shit and come here. I don't know what you got going on with your mama, but pack your shit. I'm back now. So pack my shit. My 10-month-old got on an airplane with everything I had. I went to my daddy. I get there. It's not what I thought. Like, I think that he was trying to make the bitch look good, and he didn't want her to look bad, so she didn't want me there, so he made it his idea to put me out or whatever. I wasn't even there 2 months. I want to say like 6 weeks. So one day, the girl, she was like, I want to take you somewhere. I think everything cool. We go to this transitional home. Basically, my daddy told her to take me there. They looked up this whole thing for me to stay there in this room, in this basement, in this home with all of these women, battered women and shit. Like, no, my daddy was like, if you don't move in by Wednesday, you can pack your shit and leave, or you can move in that house and stay there. And I'm like, what did I do? My dad's not a person to like talk about stuff. He's just going to let you guess, I guess. So the lady, she never took me back to the house. She took me to him because he was staying in the hotel because he was working. So she took me to Seattle to him. And I'm in this hotel. He was like, you need to figure out what you're going to do. And I'm like, so I can't go back to the house? The only other person I knew in Washington was my stepmom, the lady I made a video about in Germany. She was there. So I called her and she came and got me. I stayed with her for 2 weeks until I could fly out or whatever. And I was literally not allowed to go back to the house. I pulled up to get my stuff. My shit was packed in the garage. Like, it was insane. So I ended up coming back to Fayetteville. I had a roommate. My mom wanted me to move in back with her. I'll help you, blah, blah, blah. Your sisters are here. You struggling. You don't need to do that. Cool. So I go. She played on the whole thing with my daddy. So I go. I stay with her. I get a job, a full-time job. I'm making a little bit of money. I had child support. It was tax time. She was doing my taxes, the whole nine. And then it was, oh, the lights was getting cut off. This was getting cut off. This bill needed to be paid. And she knew that I'm going to be the one to make sure everything is okay because I want us to be good the whole time. You're taking advantage of that. So that was like the gist of it. So it was a build-up situation. So this was the last straw. So I had the car that I still had. She had got another car. And you know, sometimes the companies, if you don't make a car payment, they'll cut your car off. But she had it to where you could get like an emergency hour when they cut the car off. So her car was always getting cut off. I was always helping her, saving her, whatever it was, like calling the people for her, whatever. Her phone was off too at the time. So she ended up getting a ride to the house, I think it was. And she wanted me to call the people. I was getting dressed ready for work. So I gave her my phone, like, here you go. Oh, she was mad about that. So I going the fuck off. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready for work. Like, I'm not doing this. I lost jobs behind you. Like, I'm just not doing this. After she cussed me out, she asked me to take her to work. I said, after you just called me all type of bitches and shit, no, I'm not taking you to work. And I never was the type of person to say no. Like, I would feel like I had to and I would just suck it up and do it. But I was like, this bitch is crazy. Like, no, I'm not taking you to work. Absolutely not. You just cussed me the fuck out for no reason. So she was like, oh, really? You got to get the fuck up out of here. Then always how she did, she would go in my room and try to tear up my stuff, start ripping shit off my hangers. And I never was the type to disrespect my mom or put my hands on her. But I was like, no, we're not doing this. We are not doing this shit today. No. Like, I'm done going in this cycle. So she goes outside, and my car, my back windows wasn't working, so you could reach in and pop the lock. So she reaches in. I'm looking at her in the bedroom window. She pops the lock, pops the hood, and start ripping shit out from under my hood. Just tearing shit out of my hood. And I looked at my sister, my little sister. I was like, oh, fuck no. We on. Fuck it. I never been like that with my mama, but we on that shit today. So I go outside, and I'm not scared, but I don't want to get into it with you, but you got to stop. So she was like, I pushed her a little bit. I was like, mommy, stop. We're not doing this. Like, no. She was like, oh, you fucking with the wrong one. She go in the house and get a knife. She was like, oh, this what you want to do? This what you sure? I let the bitch go ahead. And that bitch started stabbing my tires. I went back in the room. My sister was on the phone with 911. My mama in the comments, though. Why are you here? This is my, like, can I have my space, please? Like, get out. Like, but you know what they say. One thing about a hit dog, it's gonna what? Holler like a motherfucker. So holler back, player. So graduation day, 6 months pregnant, we get up early. I don't know whoever, we all go to graduation. You're not supposed to take your phone to graduation, but I ended up taking my phone, trying to sneak my phone in, and they took it, so I had to go pick it up from the school. But everybody, all my friends or whoever was going to go out to eat with us or whatever, everybody was meeting at my house. That was the plan. My mama knew this plan. My house was the one everybody went to. I go to after graduation, everybody like, I was like, I gotta go get my phone. I meet you at the house. I meet you at the phone. I go to the school and get my phone. Everybody look at me like I'm crazy, and I'm like, what? Grab my phone. And one of the teachers was like, Versi, I didn't mean to answer it. I'm like, what are you talking about? My mom is there. Like, she's in the office with me. But I don't think she said nothing either. This wasn't the first, second, third, or fourth time we've been evicted either. Like, this is a thing. Up to the house. The sheriff's and shit is at my goddamn house. My friends is there. Like, everybody's at my house. And they was like, we'll give you 30 minutes. So I'm having to have my friends and my boyfriend at the time help me get whatever I can in the 30 minutes that they allowed us to. I just had to go on after that. Like, I wanted to celebrate my fucking day. Like, I wanted to celebrate my high school graduation. But now that I'm older and I'm processing all of this, I'm like, there was never a conversation. There wasn't an apology. If I said anything, it was always like some, y'all always asking for shit, or you know this, and I'm doing this by myself. It was always something like that. And I know for a fucking fact, she had got a $3,000 and something child support payment. I remember it because I was like, okay, we're good. So when we got evicted, I'm like, the fuck did you do with that money? Keep the baby. We're gonna take care of you. Don't worry. Was like September 12, 2014. So I go back in the room. My sister on the phone with 911. My son at the time, he is like a month before turning 2. So he in there crying. My sister in there crying. I take the phone from my sister and I'm telling them what happened. I'm like, y'all gotta come get this bitch. But I was more mad because we had a previous incident with the same car that she co-signed for, and that's when I found out that the police couldn't do anything because she owns the car as well. And that's when she learned that too. So this is her doing it to me again, knowing nobody can do nothing about it. So I told them that on the phone, like, y'all gotta come get this bitch. And I was going off to the point where the 911 lady had to hang up because she was like, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. So I started punching holes in the walls, like, I'm livid. Like, I can't do nothing about this shit. I can't even leave. And so I ended up locking her out the fucking house. So the police ended up coming. Of course, there was nothing they could do about it. And she was trying to get them to put me out. This bitch gotta go. This bitch gotta go. I don't give a fuck. She gotta leave. I knew I did not have to leave, but I was done. Like, I was fucking done. I took everything that I had and put that bitch on the front yard. Like, I'm talking about dresser. I moved all that shit by myself. Strength runs in our family. I'm talking about beds, mattresses, clothes, everything I had. I put my own shit in the front yard. I looked down the street and I seen that my neighbor had a pickup truck. I walked my ass down there and I said, look, I got $20 if you can take me to this U-Haul and put my shit in storage. Put all my shit in storage. My son's godmom was already on the way. She was like, Versi, this is too much. You can't, this is too much. We can't keep doing this. Because this was like shit going on and on and on and on and on at this point. So she ended up getting my baby or whatever. I ended up moving my stuff into storage. And that's when I was saying that I went and stayed with her for a couple days and made that GoFundMe. And until I decided to leave. And plot twist, why I found out my mom was pregnant during this whole shit. From a nigga that didn't want the baby. From a nigga that worked with you. From a nigga that had a bitch that looked just like you. You was fucking that nigga in their bed. To the point where my homegirl was like, Versi, why your mama look just like the lady? She know he got a bitch. You tried baby to keep that nigga to the point where you took my other sister with you to Chapel Hill to have an abortion at 20-something weeks pregnant. So now I'm like, oh, so it didn't really have nothing to do with me. It was the baby that you wish you could have had that you didn't have, or the nigga that you wish you could have kept that you couldn't keep, and you took that shit out on me.
Do you or do you not feel bonita is the 2023 version of Marie Kondo's Does This Spark Joy? Because if I do not feel bonita, that's going. It's out of here, out of town.
My friend stole my phone and tried to help me find it. You heard that right? Story time about how my friend stole my phone, guys, and then tried to help me find it knowing she stole it. So this happened years ago, but we had some new neighbors that had moved next to us, and they had kids our age. And one of the girls, I think she was the same age or like a year older than me, but we became friends and we would hang out, go to the park and play together. And our parents were also really good friends. So one day me and her were getting ready to go play at the park, and I had my phone with me and I decided to keep it inside because I had lost it one time. So my mom was like, keep it inside. When you come back home, you can play with this. So I put my phone in between the couch cushion because I didn't want my siblings to also find it and play with my phone when I wasn't there. And she was there with me when I did that. So we leave the house and we go to the park and we play. As we're playing, I think she had asked to leave and said I have to go home and do something. So she left. I stayed at the park and I continued to play with my friends. And then after I went back home, because I was like, I'm tired, let me just go back home and play on my phone. Get to my house, y'all, and I look in between the couch cushions. I'm feeling around and I'm like, wait a minute, where's my phone? So I'm trying to calm myself down and I'm like, oh, it's probably got moved or something, or it slipped and it's further down on the couch. Like, no worries, I would just like pull the cushions out and look for it, right? So, you know, at this time, like, really like tripping, but I'm just like, oh, it probably just slipped. So I continue to look, and then she comes over and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't find my phone. So, you know, we start taking apart the couch, looking everywhere, nowhere to be found. So now I start to freak out. Mind you, nobody was home. It was just me. Start to freak out, and she's like, don't worry, like, I'm sure it's here somewhere, or maybe one of your siblings took it, like, don't stress yourself. like, we're gonna find it, we're gonna find it. Meanwhile, I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, like my mom's gonna kill me, and plus like my phone is missing, like, and I had just left it here. Like, I know it didn't get up and walk away. I continue to freak out while I'm tearing up the house, like the living room, looking everywhere, just trying to think. I'm like, did I end up taking it with me to the park? Like, did I misplace it? Like, and sis is just over there telling me, don't worry, like, it'll show up. I'm sure it's somewhere in the house. Like, don't stress yourself. Everything's gonna be okay. Imagine, y'all. Like, can y'all imagine, like, somebody is literally in distress and you know you're the reason why they're in distress and you're really sitting there trying to calm them down? Who needs enemies when you have friends like that? Anyway, so she ends up going home. I'm still at home freaking out. My siblings come and I ask them, I'm like, did you take my phone? And they're like, no, we didn't. And I'm like, no, I know you did. So now here I am blaming my siblings because I'm just like, who else would have taken my phone? Like, who else? Anyway, so the whole day I'm just looking around the house, freaking out, crying. I'm really going through it, y'all. Like, I'm going through the stages of grief. Where's my phone? My mom comes, I explain to my mom what happened. I'm like, I said it here, I don't know where it is. My mom asked my siblings, did you guys take her phone? And my siblings are like, no, we didn't take her phone. And we just all start looking for it, but it's nowhere to be found. Like, we cannot find this phone. So obviously I'm super bummed out by all this. I literally can't sleep at night. I can't sleep at night. I'm like, where's my phone? I'm like trying, like second guessing myself. Like, did I take it with me? Like, did I misplace it somewhere? I think I even like went to look outside just to make sure like I didn't lose it on the, like in the grass while I was walking. Like, I was just a mess. So now a couple days have passed by. I'm still looking for my phone. I've low-key have lost hope that I'm ever gonna find this phone. And I'm just like telling myself that this is my fault. I probably placed this somewhere and I don't know where like I put it, until one day, y'all, my brother comes home and tells me, I think your friend has your phone. And I'm like, oh, you're lying. Like, why would you say that? You don't even have any proof. What are you talking about? He tells me, guys, that he went over to your house and he was upstairs and we all had 4 bedrooms and the rooms all like faced each other. Like, there's 2 over here and 2 on the other side. So when you walk upstairs, it's just like straight up rooms. And he had went upstairs into their house and saw the sister and one of the brothers playing on my phone, and then they closed the door as soon as they saw him. So I'm over here thinking like, no way. I don't believe it. Like, I don't think you saw the right thing, right? Defending my friend, because I'm like, oh, she was with me and she was helping me look for it. So I decide to ask one of her little brothers. He had came over to play with one of my other siblings. So I pulled him aside and I was like, hey, I have a quick question for you. And if you're honest with me, like, I'll buy you something. Bribing this little boy, I'm like, if you tell me the truth, I'm gonna get you something. So, you know, kids, when it comes to bribing them, they're gonna give you what you need. They're gonna give you the information that you're asking for, right? So I asked him, I'm like, does your sister have a white phone that looks like this and this? And he's like, oh yeah, she does. She usually hides it during the day, but at night she'll take it out and play with it, and sometimes she'll even let me play with it. When I tell you guys, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, tell him to tell me more. Like, do your parents know she has it? Like, is it her phone? Like, what's going on? I'm like, does it look like the phone that I had? And he was like, yeah, it looks like your phone. And how the parents don't know that she has it and she hides it at night. Y'all, I literally could not believe it. I was like, he has to be lying too. Like, I just like couldn't imagine that my friend would do something like that to me. So here I am, just still like trying to like figure out, like, is he being honest? Is he just like agreeing because I promised I'd buy him something? It was just hard because I don't like accusing people, like apart from my siblings. I don't like accusing other people of things if I'm not sure that they did it. So anyways, I'm like, okay, next time when you see that phone, try to take it or tell your dad about it, right? But so I told my mom, and I think my mom ended up going to talk to her parents and them know that, hey, I don't know if this is true, but your son told my daughter that your daughter has her phone and she's been hiding it in the house. So I was kind of scared because I'm like, imagine like my parents go tell her parents that and then it's not true and it's all a lie. And now I look silly for accusing her. So, now I'm like worried that I'm going to lose my friend and I lied against her because I don't even know if the brother's telling the truth. Guys, tell me why 1 day or 2 days after my parents had that conversation with her parents, we get a knock on the door and it is the dad with my phone in his hand. Yes, you heard me correct, with my phone in his hand. And he comes in and he sits down and he basically apologizes to me and my family and talks about how he's very disappointed in his daughter and he can't believe that she would do this. And he also just asked for forgiveness. I felt so bad because I'm like, this is not your fault. But he just constantly apologized and he was like, I hope this doesn't change the friendship that we have with your kids and my kids and just us as adults as well. And he was like, I don't know why she would do that. He brought the phone back. And honestly, that was a lot of respect because some parents could have hid that, but they didn't. After that, like, I tried to be cool with her, but I just couldn't because I'm like, you stole my phone. You helped me look for that phone knowing that it was in your house. But yeah, the friendship was basically gone. If we saw each other, we would say hi, but
Sarah! Sarah was finally home. Caillou was very happy to see her. Caillou! Ni hao! What?
My brother just cut me off. Let's talk about it. So, I have tons of videos on my page kind of describing the situation about what's been going on with my brother. I do believe my brother is going through some kind of psychotic episode. He does have bipolar along with ADHD and anxiety and depression. He's on so many medications, including like lithium and SSRI and some kind of stimulant for his ADHD, which, could definitely cause some issues. But recently, my mother has left my abusive father. My brother is full-heartedly believing that my mom is an abuser, that she's starving him. Sorry, just burped. She's starving him, depriving him of basic necessities. She is abusing him. He's afraid of her. She's stealing things from him. Just so many things that are not true. Like, my brother believes my mom is Satan herself. Even though my father is extremely abusive. Like, my father drugged my mom. He's an alcoholic. My father has almost killed my mother. And done so many other things, like secret families, blah, blah, blah. And despite all of this, my brother still believes that my mom is the bad guy. I had to help my mom kind of sneak out of the house and get her out. Both my parents are in their mid to late 60s, and so I've found her an apartment and I was able to help her get out, but like, she had to take things out of the middle of the night, and it's just been like, it's been a whole big ordeal. And my brother had a huge, I don't know, manic episode, psychotic break, I don't know, where he was crawling around on the floor on all fours, screaming and crying at my mother and telling her like what an abuser she is and how terrified he is of her. And my mom told me, she called me and was like, I need to get out tonight. I'm genuinely terrified of your brother, and I've never felt more scared of him, and I genuinely feel like he's going to hurt me. Like, he might, permanently hurt me. So that day I came over and I helped her grab her cats, and I just kind of went with the premise of that I found somebody to take them. Like, my mom and I have just been trying to be really sneaky, and so I went over and I took these cats, and that is what kind of pushed my brother over the edge with me. Before all of this, my brother, probably a week prior, my brother had sent me this long text about all the stuff that my mom's been doing and what an abuser she is, and how he's not going to sit quiet anymore about it and not going to talk about it anymore, and like, just like all, and I know what's been going on. I know what's going on. And I know all the stuff he's saying it's not true. Like, it's these delusions he's built up in his head about my mom and the situation. And I didn't really respond. I just kind of told him, like, I know it's tough for you right now. Oh, also, my brother lives at home. He doesn't have a job. My mom's been paying all the bills because my dad also doesn't have a job, so she's been supporting them and giving them money, so he's been unemployed living off my mother. And he's still, like, villainizing her, which is insane. Anyways, I just told him, I want you to get up off your feet. I want you to be happy. I know the environment in that house isn't good for you. And regarding all the stuff with my mom, I think it's better, or with mom, you know, I think it's better that we have this conversation when you are in a situation where we can talk about this and we can have a healthy conversation. Like, I just don't think talking about mom right now is, like, a good idea. And then fast forward, I go and I get her cats, and 2 days later, my brother texts me pretty much telling me that he sent me a long text about how our mother is an abuser and all the things she's doing to him and saying to him, and how I came in and I took the cats and I am aiding his abuser, and so I am no longer a safe person. He doesn't trust me anymore, and that he can't be around me at all. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore because he needs to be around people who are encouraging him and who he feels safe around, and that's not me. Like, I am not that person. So that's great. I love that. Definitely cried, and it ruined my day and multiple days to come. I didn't respond because, like, I don't even know what to say. And my brother is in such victimhood that even if I were to go to him and tell him, like, I'm also struggling, this divorce and mom leaving and all the stuff that's been happening has also been affecting me, like, I'm sorry you feel that way, or I don't know, nothing I can say will be right. And if I tell him I'm also struggling and it's been hard for me, like, he'll just take that as me invalidating his feelings or him saying that my mom's an abuser. So I'm just, like, stuck here with feeling like I can't talk to him or explain myself. And pretty much my brother wants me to cut off my mother. He wants me to cut her off, and I'm not going to do that. And because of that, for the unforeseeable future, I potentially have lost a relationship with my brother. I'm very worried about him. If he does have bipolar, which, I mean, he's been diagnosed, so he probably does, but I'm worried he's in some kind of psychotic episode, or he's being manic and he's cutting off relationships with people. Like, I don't really know what's going on, but it's definitely so disappointing. And I've never had to deal with this before, and it just feels like my entire life is falling apart in a matter of just days, and it's awful. But yay! Anyone else have siblings that have cut them off? Because wow, let's talk about it.